Today I'm going to show you how to fit your back shirt pattern for prominent shoulder blades. This is a fun topic for me, and it also doubles as a fit tip and a subscriber Q&A. Speaking of subscriber Q&A, I just want to remind everybody I'm not going to be on tomorrow. It's the day before Thanksgiving, and I'll be busy getting the house ready for all of my guests for dinner on Thanksgiving. Super excited, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I want to wish everybody a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. So someone had asked me about fitting a prominent shoulder blade. So I thought, oh good, I can do a Fit Tip Tuesday that's also a subscriber Q&A. I can do them all in one shot here. And then if you caught Cool Tools yesterday, I'm giving away 2 different pins from Taylor Seville. Either they're flathead pins or they're ultra grip pins. So if you missed that, go check out that because you can enter to win these stocking stuffers, and I'll be randomly picking winners during FabFit Friday, the day after Thanksgiving this week at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you join me for that. That's just going to be a fun, quick FabFit Friday to see who wins the pins, and then you can go back to your Black Friday shopping if you'd like to. So let's get into adjusting a back pattern piece for a prominent shoulder blade. The first thing I'm going to do is show you how to add a shoulder dart. Now, the interesting thing about this is shoulder darts have sort of gone missing in a lot of pattern drafts now in the fashion patterns that are current. And really, a back shoulder dart is a nice thing to have if you have curves on your upper back that need shaping. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a shoulder dart, and there's a few different ways that you can think about it. This is just a plain back bodice. I don't even have a waist dart on this pattern. You know, for purposes of lining up or angling my shoulder dart, I'm just going to draw a waist dart here. So let's just make it this long. That'll be the middle. I'm just going to make this waist dart here. So if the pattern you're working with has a waist dart, you're going to use the tip of the dart to guide the angle of the shoulder dart that we're going to create. If your pattern does not have a waist dart, you're going to locate where your shoulder blades are approximately on your upper back, because that will give you the target you're trying to create a shape for as well. So I'm just going to very lightly, in a green color, just going to dash in a shape that would be likely for a shoulder blade somewhere in there. And you can use a 2-mirror setup to look at your back view and kind of guesstimate how many inches from the armhole, how many inches from the shoulder you have protruding shoulder blades to get this approximate position. Either way, you either need the approximate position of your shoulder blades or you need your waist dart. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I am going to draw myself a line in the center of my shoulder down, and I want to go either through, where my shoulder blade is or to the tip of the dart here. For my actual shoulder dart, I think I would make it 3 inches long. So I'm going to go ahead and make it that long here as well. 1, 2, 3, like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a horizontal guideline. So I'm just going to draw myself a horizontal line like this. And then we're going to slash and spread this to create the dart. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slash through my shoulder, and I'm also going to slash through my horizontal line, but I'm not going to cut through the armhole and center back. I'm going to sort of create a pivot on either edge here. So I'm going to but not through. And you can see what happens when I spread my shoulder dart. It opens up the horizontal as well a little bit. And I'm just going to put one of my little post-it notes under here so I can hold that so you can see what's happening. So basically, I'm just going to spread this until I've got it open the amount that I think I need. And as a general guideline, I think I would start with a 1/2 inch total. That's a good amount of dart intake to create a subtle shape for the curve of a shoulder blade. So you can see here, I'm just going to open that up like that. And then I'm just going to stick some Scotch tape on here to finalize or secure that. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more paper where I need it up here to finish closing that like that. So now I have a shoulder dart, and to finish the top of the pattern, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to fold one leg over to the other like this. Okay, and I'm going to close it like that. Now, once it's closed, I can then go ahead and cut across my shoulder, and you can see that's going to give me the shape I need at the top of the shoulder. So that's how you create a shoulder dart in the back of your shirt pattern. Now, in some cases, that might be enough to fit your prominent shoulder blade, because you can see we've added a little bit of vertical there, and we've also added the shape for the shoulder blade. Now, this is not in proportion to what a real size pattern would look like, because in actuality, you want the tip of the dart to be approaching the shoulder blade. You don't want it to be all the way on top of it. You know, you're only creating a short 3-inch dart to create some room, a subtle cup shape for your shoulder blade. But basically, this might be enough. Now, if it's not enough, what you're going to do is you're going to do another slash and spread that will open this dart up a little bit more and create a little bit more room. So what that's going to look like is I'm going to draw myself a guideline from where my approximate back notches would be. So let's pretend my back notches on the armhole are there. I'm going to go ahead and make a guideline to my tip of my dart. We'll go like that. And then I'm going to make a second guideline up to just, let's draw in a seam allowance here. So I'm going to go just next to my dart like this, okay? And I'm also going to cut open the middle of the dart like this. So watch what happens here. I'm going to cut my shoulder dart open, the one I just created. I'm going to cut to, but not through the armhole. And I'm going to cut straight up to my seam allowance, but I'm not going to cut through. And actually, I'm just going to create a pivot so I can spread this a little bit. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to pull this out, but I want to be able to maintain the shape of the armhole. So I need one more guideline, and that's going to be from here, just coming up into the armhole like this. So again, let me just draw this is my seam allowance here. Okay, so I'm going to cut to my seam allowance here, through there, and make a little pivot. So my pivot here and my pivot here are going to allow me to pull this out. And what's going to happen is this little point right here is going to overlap a little bit as I pull this out a little bit. And actually I need to create the pivot there so I can pull this out. And actually let me use my little booster magnets here to hold this. So if I put a sew tight right there to hold that, and then I want to hold the tip of my dart shut as well. I don't want to open the tip of my dart, so I'm going to shut that one as well. I do want to open this. Oops. And this is going to open over here. So this, a minute. All right, so in reality, you don't want the tip of the dart to open, so I'm going to leave that the way it was. But you can see what I'm doing here is I'm pivoting this up like this. So what I have is, let me put another. All right, so I think what you can see here is you end up with me put a piece of Scotch tape here. Okay, so the dart is shut, but it opens, you know, there. This whole thing opens. You get a little overlap in the seam allowance here, and you get a little overlap on this part here where I did this little dash line might overlap a little bit. And in this instance, it's not overlapping, but on a full-size pattern, it probably will. So you're making this sort of L-shaped opening. You're making the dart bigger, but you're maintaining the measurement of the shoulder seam because you're not changing it over here on the stitching line, and you're not changing it here either. So if I just connect the base of this here, let me just put a little piece of tape there. Okay, so you can see what we have is, I'll put a piece of sticky note under there so you can see the whole thing now. And I'm just going to put a little piece of Scotch tape here so this doesn't open. And then I'll put paper behind it so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so you can see what we have is, let me just cut off this extra here. And let me cut this extra here just so you can see. So what is opened is this part here. The dart got bigger, and so we can refold that to get the final shape of the shoulder seam. Okay, so remember, I just want to remind everybody, the pivot points, I'll do those in a royal blue. Pivot point right here, pivot point right here, pivot point right here, and this is a slash, and then there's a little hinge here, and a little hinge here, and then you cut through the dart, so technically there's a pivot point at the base of the original dart as well. So all those blue dots are pivot points, and you just pull it out and open this area and create a larger dart. And that's going to give you more of a curve if you have a prominent shoulder blade. So just to finish this up, let me cut off this extra tape. You know, and I think it's going to be pretty close, but essentially I'm still going to fold this down to finish the shoulder like that. Okay, but I think what you can see now is with the dart closed, if I pop this up now, like this, you can see how there is some shape for a prominent shoulder blade. So see how it pops up? And that's going to prevent a gaping armhole in the back. So one of the telltale signs that you have a prominent shoulder blade is if the fabric along the lower part of your back armhole gapes open, it's because it's fighting for the shape, you know, to go over that prominent shoulder blade. Very similar to if you don't have enough room for your bust, you get gape in the front armhole. It's really the exact same thing. It's just prominent shoulder blade is a smaller curve than a bust in most cases. But you can see that's how that's finished. And you can see it creates a nice shape for the back of your shirt if you have prominent shoulder blades. This is kind of a cool adjustment. It's a little fussy on this little paper, but just remember, you're going to create pivots along your stitching line here, 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 and also at the tip of the dart. Cut the dart open, cut through to the dart and back over here, and then create hinges so the seam allowance itself can overlap a little bit if it needs to. So that's how you can fit your back of your shirt pattern for a prominent shoulder blade. Now, just a suggestion, if you're working with a pattern that does not have a shoulder dart, do the first part of what I showed you, put the dart in, try it and see if you have enough room, because sometimes that is enough room. And then if you don't, you can go ahead and slash that open, create a bigger dart, and create some more space within the pattern for your prominent shoulder blade. So I hope you enjoyed this Fit Tip Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Join me on Friday for FabFit Friday, where I'll be announcing the winners of these 2 magic pins from Taylor Seville. It's going to be very exciting. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a lovely rest of your day.